Story begins. Jinwoo was still asleep, deep in slumber, until a call from Jinna broke his rest. Hearing his tired voice, Jinna immediately realized he was still in bed and asked if he knew what time it was. Looking at the clock, Jinwoo saw it was already 2 p.m. Jinna reminded him that her parent-teacher meeting was later that day. When Jinwoo arrived at the meeting, he looked unexpectedly sharp, surprising Jinna with his well-dressed appearance. She was taken aback, prompting Jinwoo to ask if something was wrong. Jinna quickly reassured him, saying it was just surprising to see him look so different. He explained he had to dress properly since wearing sports attire would have been inappropriate. Yana found it amusing how much people could change, and as they walked through the school hallways, Jinwoo attracted attention from the girls around them, who couldn't help but whisper in curiosity. Noticing this, Jinna teased him about not having a girlfriend yet and even offered to introduce him to someone. But Jinwoo dismissed the suggestion angrily. Later, Jinwoo met Jinna's teacher, who had nothing but praise for her. She called Jinna an outstanding student and role model, mentioning her excellent performance in mock exams and expressing confidence that Jinna would be accepted into medical school. She advised Jinwoo not to pressure her too much, and Jinwoo agreed. Before the meeting ended, the teacher asked Jinwoo how he would feel if Jinwoo awakened her powers and chose to become a hunter. Jinwoo immediately replied that he wouldn't allow it. The teacher expected this answer and mentioned she had one more request. The scene shifts to Jinwoo meeting his brother, who was surprised to see him. Jinwoo explained he was there as Jinna's brother, and Sun quickly figured out that the teacher had sent him to persuade her to quit being a hunter. However, she refused to listen, saying she wouldn't quit or return to school. Jinwoo pointed out that as an E-rank hunter, her earning opportunities were limited, and while she had made good money as part of Jinwoo's team, that was an exception. Sung-yi, frustrated, told him to leave if he was just going to lecture her. She even threw his rank back at him, reminding him that he, too, was an E-rank hunter. Jinwoo remained calm and said he wasn't there to lecture or convince her to quit. Instead, he asked her to follow him somewhere else. Meanwhile, Jinchul greeted Dong-soo when he arrived in Japan, offering a personal reception. Dong-soo sarcastically remarked on the unexpected welcome from the chief of the Hunter Association, but Jinchul got straight to the point, asking how long Dong-soo intended to stay. Dong-soo reassured him that he wouldn't be there for long. However, Jinchul was skeptical, noting that Dong-soo had returned to the very country he had betrayed, seemingly only to meet 2 specific people. Dong-soo smirked, confident Jinchul knew the truth. He stated that his visit was solely to see those 2, and ominously suggested that the surveillance team should ignore whatever happens to them in the dungeon. He revealed his plan to eliminate Jinwoo first, followed by Leo, and remarked that Jinchul wouldn't be able to stop him. Jinchul responded that he was just doing his duty. Elsewhere, some monsters were being unloaded from a chopper by Guildmaster Choi and others. Fresh from Jojo Island, Choi then briefed the chairman of the Hunter Association about the situation, explaining that the monsters had been trying to cross the sea but couldn't sustain flight and had fallen into the water. Choi warned that if left unchecked, these creatures might one day succeed in crossing to the mainland, but Chief Gun-heed promised to take whatever measures necessary to prevent that from happening. The scene transitions to Jinwoo meeting Sang, who was surprised by the unexpected call. Sang commented on how rare it was to hear from Jinwoo and noticed that Sung-ye was with him. Jinwoo apologized for the sudden request, but Sang assured him it was fine. He was curious, though, about Jinwoo's interest in watching their training. Sang pointed to a nearby gate, explaining that it was a level C gate that had recently appeared. As they talked, an impatient man interrupted, complaining that they should start the raid already, as it wasn't a picnic. Jinwoo glanced at him, curious, and Sang introduced the man as Kim Chel, an A-rank hunter and tanker. Sang explained that Kim Chel was the leader of the assault team and made it clear that Kim Chel was not pleased about having E-rank hunters tagging along to watch the raid. Kim Chel's annoyance was obvious, and Sang tried to smooth things over by explaining the team composition to Gitwoo. The raid consisted of 1 A-rank hunter, 5 B-rank hunters, and 2 C-rank hunters, making a total of 10 people, including Jinwoo and Sung-yi. Sung Jinwoo is not excited about the big group, since his main goal is to show Sung-ye the hard truth of dungeon raids, but with so many people, it might weaken the experience. Sang then suggests that Jinwoo stay back and let the newcomers get some hands-on experience, which Jinwoo agrees to. The team enters the gate, but Jinwoo immediately feels something is wrong. He notices the gate behind him, acting strangely as it starts glowing red. He quickly realizes what's happening and tries to get away, managing to pull his head out just in time to warn Sang to contact the assault team. But before he can escape, the gate pulls him back inside. Sang quickly gets in touch with Beak, telling him about the red gate, and Bake immediately heads out to help. Inside, Jinwoo and the team find themselves in a never-ending snowfield, shocked to see that the gate has completely disappeared. Panic sets in as they wonder how they'll get out. Kim Chel steps up and explains that they are stuck in a red gate. Sonia, confused, asks what that means. So Jinwoo calmly explains that unlike normal gates, a red gate is a dungeon where all contact with the outside world is cut off. To escape, they must either defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse. He also says that no outside help can come, and that the dungeon will be full of dangerous magical creatures. Suddenly, arrows rain down on the group, and one hunter is killed instantly. Jinwoo quickly catches the second arrow aimed at Song-yi and shields her from harm. Woman Hunter, amazed by his quick reflexes, and the team realizes they're surrounded by ice elves. Jinwoo notices that their distance had hidden their presence, and he sees that they targeted the weakest members of the group. He acknowledges that if this had happened 2 months ago, he wouldn't have survived. The ice elves then retreat, leaving the group confused. Jinwoo explains that ice elves are ruthless predators, also known as ice slayers, who are feared by hunters for their deadly efficiency. Kim Chul takes charge, announcing that no help will come in this place and insists they follow his orders if they want to survive. He says he can't manage the whole group, so he suggests splitting into 2 teams, claiming that it will improve their chances. He warns that staying in one place risks freezing to death and insists he can protect those who come with him. Most of the group agrees to go with Kim Chul, but he quickly picks out the weaker members, refusing to take them along. He says their presence will slow the team down. He then adds that 1 day in this dungeon equals an hour outside, and it might take months to defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse. With a cold, dismissive tone, he calls them dead weight, saying he will leave them behind but promises to return after the boss is defeated. One hunter in the group decides to stick with Jinwoo, and Kim Chul calls it a foolish decision. She quietly whispers to Jinwoo that she noticed his earlier reflexes, believing he is much stronger than he seems, possibly even an A rank or higher. Jinwoo doesn't confirm or deny it. Kim Chul then declares he'll take the main road, assuming it's the best path. Jinwoo offers to lead his team through the forest. After some time, Kim Chul's group notices claw marks on the trees, and he confidently declares that they've entered ice bear territory. He smugly says that the E-rank team will probably be killed soon, as they sense ice bears nearby. The group quickly finds themselves surrounded. One of the giant bears charges, but Kim Chul blocks the attack with his shield and cuts the bear in half with his axe. Without hesitation, he moves on to the other 2 bears, keeping his confidence. Meanwhile, Jinwoo's group is stopped by the girl, who points out similar claw marks. She warns them they are in ice bear territory and suggests they turn back to avoid an encounter. Jinwoo disagrees, suggesting they move deeper into the area. He explains that since this is ice bear territory, they will only need to worry about the bears, which are weaker than the elves outside. The girl thinks it over and realizes Jinwoo is right. No other magical beasts would come here because of the ice bear's dominance. As they continue, the air gets colder, and Jinwoo pulls out coats from his inventory using subspace magic, handing them to everyone. The group is amazed by his ability and gratefully puts on the warm coats, but Song-yi is still confused and asks Jinwoo who he really is. Jinwoo avoids the question, reminding her that he brought her here, so it's his responsibility to protect her. He asks that they not ask any more questions. Just then, a huge ice bear steps out from the shadows. Jinwoo steps forward, changing his title to Wolf Assassin, readying himself for battle. Meanwhile, outside, Beak observes the ominous red glow and concludes that this gate is a serious threat. He doubts anyone besides high-ranking hunters could survive it. He places his hope in Kim Chul, believing that his rank might give the assault team a chance. But Sang informs him that, aside from the official assault team, others have entered the gate, including Jinwoo. Beak then asks about Jinwoo's rank, and Sang replies that Jinwoo is officially at the E rank, though he suspects that Jinwoo may have reawakened. However, Jinwoo has never confirmed this. Beak isn't optimistic about Jinwoo's survival chances. Then, Dong-soo arrives with Ginchul, and Beak is visibly annoyed to see Dong-soo and questions why he's there when he should be in America. Dong-soo ignores the question and challenges Beak, asking why the E-rank hunter was allowed into the gate when he's not even part of their guild. Dong-soo is clearly referring to Jinwoo, leaving Beak wondering how Dong-soo knows him. Dong-soo scoffs at the red gate, saying that Jinwoo will likely perish inside before they even get the chance to meet. Ginchul, noticing Dong-soo's frustration, says that Jinwoo is lucky to be inside the gate, avoiding a confrontation with Dong-soo. However, Ginchul doubts Jinwoo's chances of surviving. Inside the gate, Jinwoo finishes off the last of the ice bears, leveling up once again. His team and the girl are left in awe, wondering who he really is, but he remains silent. Later, the group gathers to eat roasted bear meat, still stunned that Jinwoo managed to take down so many bears on his own. The girl warns them not to get too comfortable, as the monster's lair must be close. Song-ye, on the other hand, is confused by Jinwoo's actions, asking why he went out for a walk after such an intense battle. She comments that he's strange, and the others agree. Meanwhile, Jinwoo stands outside the ice bear's lair, preparing to test his shadow army. He summons them, watching as they charge forward. The shadows quickly take down the bears, but some of the creatures fight back fiercely, tearing parts of the army apart. However, the shadows regenerate swiftly, using Jinwoo's mana, and return to the battle. Jinwoo observes, impressed, thinking that his mages are performing better than he expected. but he notes that maintaining them is draining a lot of mana. Suddenly, the massive boss of the Ice Bears appears and with one devastating attack destroys Jinwoo's entire shadow army, depleting much of his mana. Unable to regenerate his army, Jinwoo summons Igris. The Shadow Knight Igris steps forward confidently, and the bear charges at him. However, Igris dodges effortlessly, landing a precise slash. Within moments, the bear is defeated. The beast attempts a final attack, but Igris ends it with a swift beheading. Jinwoo watches, impressed by Igris's strength. Reflecting on their previous duel, he admits that he wouldn't have lost if Igris had used his sword. Even now, Jinwoo believes Igris may still be stronger and praises him for handling the fight so well. Meanwhile, Kim Chol's group faces the elves. All his teammates have been killed, leaving him alone, struggling to comprehend what just happened. He bitterly reflects on how close he was to becoming an elite member of the White Tiger Guild, only to end up in this dangerous situation. The sight of the elves and the remaining survivors terrifies him, and he realizes he stands no chance of winning. So, he runs as fast as he can to escape. Jinwoo, on the other hand, stands victorious over the fallen bears, demonstrating his immense power as a necromancer. With a simple command to rise, shadow bears emerge from the corpses and join his growing shadow army. Outside the portal, Sang explains that the strike force has been trapped inside for 3 hours, which translates to about 3 days in the portal's distorted time. Red gates are known for being highly dangerous, and Dong-soo concludes that Jinwoo must already be dead. He begins preparing to leave, but then halts his departure, demanding to know why Jinwoo was associating with the White Tiger Guild in the first place. Sang casually mentions that Jinwoo is just someone he knows who wanted to watch a C-ranked mission. While Sang thinks this explanation should calm things down, Dong-soo surprises everyone by suddenly choking Sang. Dong-soo isn't deceived. He recognizes that Sang has a knack for spotting promising new hunters. At that moment, Beak steps forward, transforming and telling Dong-soo to stop. This only makes Dong-soo angrier, and he dismisses Beak as a big fish in a small pond. The two S-rank hunters then unleash a fraction of their power, sending waves of fear through those around them. Sang grows more anxious, worried that a battle between S-rank hunters could destroy the entire area. But the tension rises, and the two S-rank hunters clashes. Kim Chol feels relief after escaping the elves, but his relief quickly turns to shock when he stumbles upon the mangled bodies of the Death Bears. The sight terrifies him, and he begins to wonder how the E-ranks he left behind could possibly have caused such destruction. The sheer devastation leaves him shaking, and he suspects that the Ice Bears might be the true cause. Quickly, he retreats into the forest. Scene shift outside the gate. Dong-soo is impressed when Jinchul steps in, managing to prevent the S-rank fight from escalating. Jinchul humbly admits that the only reason his arms are still intact is that the two S-rank hunters held back at the last moment. Jinchul then reassures Dong-soo that Jinwoo is only an E-rank hunter, emphasizing that he reevaluated Jinwoo 2 months ago and saw nothing that would suggest otherwise. Additionally, Jinchul explains that the surveillance team's investigation into your brother's death showed it was caused by a magic beast. Dong-soo brushes this off as a convenient excuse, convinced that if Jinwoo isn't the killer, then the wealthy Leo must be. Jinchul then questions why Dong-soo is targeting Jinwoo if he believes he isn't the one responsible. Dong-soo responds coldly, claiming it's just an excuse to kill. But before the conversation can go any further, Dong-soo is called away, muttering that Jinwoo is lucky. Sang watches him leave, thinking about how no one understands the full extent of Jinwoo's power like he does. Confident in Jinwoo's abilities, Sang believes Jinwoo will survive the Red Gate. Inside the gate, Jinwoo's group sits around a fire trying to stay warm, but their peaceful moment is interrupted when Kim Chol storms in. Furious to see these weaklings alive and well, dressed in weather gear and surrounded by blankets and food. They are clearly in much better condition than his own group. Kim Chol gets enraged and accuses them of hiding supplies, claiming his team died because they lacked proper gear. Blinded by anger, he demands to know who was hiding the equipment and blames Park, suspecting she joined the weaker group because she knew the truth. Kim Chol then gives an ultimatum, counting down from 3 and threatening to kill them all if the culprit doesn't step forward. When no one says anything, he screams Jinwoo's name, assuming he is the one responsible, and prepares to attack. However, before Kim Chol can act, Jinwoo suddenly appears and completely overpowers him. The group is left stunned by their leader's unexpected return. Jinwoo scolds Kim Chol for refusing to take responsibility for his team's defeat. Jinwoo also detects a menacing presence nearby and accuses Kim Chol of inviting even greater danger upon them. Shifting his focus to his Jinwoo calls out to the hidden entity, pointing out that their energy is too overwhelming to remain undetected. He then commands them to reveal themselves. Obeying his order, the Ice Elves emerge, with their leaders sneering in contempt at the unexpected strength of a mere human. Jinwoo swiftly counters, astonishing everyone as he speaks fluently in the language of magical creatures. Even he is taken aback by this newfound skill, quickly deducing that his unique system must be responsible. The elf leader begins to clarify their arrival, explaining that one of his subordinates sensed Jinwoo's formidable strength when he stopped the arrow and wanted to challenge him. However, before he can finish speaking, Jinwoo decisively beheads the challenger. Rather than being angered, the leader finds Jinwoo's ruthlessness amusing. However, Jinwoo has no interest in amusing him and launches a direct assault. The leader blocks skillfully. Jinwoo instantly understands that this opponent will not be defeated easily. The leader, still entertained, remarks that Jinwoo is no ordinary human and questions why he is pretending to be one. Jinwoo is puzzled by the statement, but the leader's laughter suggests he holds knowledge Jinwoo lacks. The elf reveals that their kind follows an internal command to exterminate humans. Yet strangely, this directive does not apply to him. This revelation makes Jinwoo suspicious, causing him to wonder if their silence regarding him is linked to his system's commands. The leader speculates that Jinwoo may not be entirely human and advises him to wisely surrender the other humans. However, Jinwoo demands to know the true reason the elves are attacking humans at all. As the leader begins to respond, something unnatural happens. His body distorts and his words as if caught in an endless cycle. Unshaken, Jinwoo refuses to back down, prompting the leader to declare that defying them would make him their foe. He also reminds Jinwoo that they hold the advantage in numbers, yet Jinwoo remains unfazed and questions the leader's confidence. With that, Jinwoo summons his shadow army, leaving those around him awestruck, unable to comprehend how such a thing is possible. The elf leader dismisses Jinwoo's forces as insignificant, but Jinwoo ignores his mockery and insists on a battle. The leader agrees, and both sides engage in a fierce conflict. The humans accompanying Jinwoo attempt to escape, but the elven archers immediately target them. Jinwoo showcases his incredible prowess, eliminating the archers effortlessly. Despite his skills, Jinwoo soon realizes why the leader was so confident. The elves surpass his expectations in strength and are inflicting heavy damage. Although Jinwoo's shadow soldiers cannot die permanently, reviving them consumes his magic. While he has an immense energy reserve, it is not limitless, and he acknowledges that it could be depleted over time. To make matters worse, he comes to a grim conclusion. The elven leader is undeniably more powerful than him. As the leader engages Jinwoo directly, he quickly reassesses the situation. Even with Igris assisting him, Baruka remains an overwhelming adversary. The odds are stacked against him, and his standard troops are insufficient. Jinwoo determines that he requires a stronger force to counter Baruka's might. At this moment, the leader formally introduces himself as Baruka, and Jinwoo responds in kind. The two warriors then charge at each other with unrelenting force, as Bara immediately asserts his dominance. Yet he's briefly caught off guard when Jinwoo shifts his sword to the other hand in the middle of his strike. Their duel persists with close calls from both sides, but eventually Jinwoo is forced to retreat. Barca grins, admitting he hasn't had such an enjoyable battle in a long time. Jinwoo returns the smile and summons a gigantic meteor that slams into Barca, taking him by surprise. Meanwhile, Kim Chol regains awareness, burning with fury. Consumed by resentment, he curses Jinwoo again, clenching his blade with determination to eliminate him. As Baruka fights against Jinwoo's magical warriors, Kim Chol uses the commotion as an opportunity to strike. However, Jinwoo, having foreseen this, instructs Igris to conjure a thick fog. Under its cover, Igris swiftly eliminates Kim Chol, who, in his final moments, realizes too late that Jinwoo had outmaneuvered him from the beginning. As Kim Chol falls, Jinwoo commands him to arise, and a brilliant glow engulfs his form as he is reborn as a shadow soldier. Barca, still charging at Jinwoo, scoffs at the idea that concealment will help, but his certainty wavers as an enormous shadow warrior steps forward to challenge him, momentarily forcing Barca to back off. Jinwoo then designates his newest recruit as Iron, and the resurrected Kim Chul unleashes a thunderous roar. Barca observes Iron and quickly recognizes that, although his movements are sluggish, his resilience is incredible. Nearby, Song-Ye watches in astonishment, wondering if all hunter battles are this extreme. Her allies assure her that what they are witnessing is far beyond anything they've encountered before. As Iron holds his ground, Barca declares the battle uninteresting and demands that Jinwoo and Igris engage fully. Accepting the challenge with a smirk, Jinwoo initiates an intense 3-0 against one clash. Barca's overwhelming strength is evident as he fends off Jinwoo, Igris, and Iron simultaneously. However, irritation builds within Baruka as Iron's relentless roars echo across the battlefield. Deciding to eliminate Iron first, Baruka attacks, but Iron withstands every hit. Baruka's confidence increases as he evades Igris' strikes, but he is caught off guard when Jinwoo successfully lands a piercing blow. Jinwoo is impressed by Barca's ability to avoid a fatal injury even amid the chaos. Barca, annoyed at being underestimated, stiffens, but Jinwoo acknowledges his endurance. As the battle continues, Jinwoo takes a brief moment to scan his remaining forces. Suddenly, Barca, recalling his army, turns around only to be met with a horrifying scene. Jinwoo's shadow soldiers have obliterated his entire force. Yet, despite the devastating loss, Baruka remains sure that defeating Jinwoo will shift the battle in his favor. As Jinwoo hurls his dagger, Baruka scoffs, mocking him for throwing away his weapon. However, he miscalculates, and Jinwoo skillfully recalls the blade with perfect precision. Baruka barely deflects it, but in doing so, his weapon is shattered. Seizing the opportunity, Jinwoo instructs Iron to bind Baruka. Immobilized, Barca is then engulfed by a monstrous fire attack from Jinwoo's magical warriors. Yet, even after the powerful assault, Baruka refuses to fall. He slashes through Iron and vows to eradicate the humans, but Jinwoo counters, silencing him for good. Jinwoo announces the battle's conclusion, but Baruka remains defiant to the very end. He insists it isn't over until he declares so. But his defiance doesn't last long as Iron rapidly nailed him and engulfs him entirely. Jinwoo repeats that the fight is truly done, as Baruka lies motionless on the ground. The earth then starts to shake, but it turns out to be Iron simply making sure their triumph is absolute. Jinwoo scolds Iron, cautioning him to practice restraint, while silently hoping this habit won't become a recurring concern. The team exhales collectively, overwhelmed, as Jinwoo casually informs them it's time to go. They all feel a sense of relief at leaving, but before departing, Jinwoo gives one last glance at Baruka's still body outside the portal. He tells Beak that it's time to head back home, as a full week has passed inside and the likelihood of survival appears slim. However, Beak refuses to leave, unwilling to abandon his guild members. Then, both are caught off guard when the portal suddenly begins to widen. Beak confidently assumes Kim Chul is emerging, convinced his guildmate managed to pull through. Yet both are left in shock when the person stepping out is not Kim Chul, but Jinwoo, alive and untouched. Bak's faith proves correct, as Jinwoo stands as the undisputed champion. The gate then seals shut, leaving Beak wondering about Kim Chul's fate. When he learns that only the lowest-ranked hunter made it out, he is appalled and extremely curious about what took place inside. Beak then steps toward Jinwoo for explanations, but Jinwoo, clearly weary, tells him to take his inquiries to someone within his own guild. Beak is momentarily speechless, interpreting this as resistance. Stunned by the boldness, since Jinwoo wasn't making a request, he was giving a command. Worse still, it could even be perceived as a warning. Tension builds as Beak becomes more serious, stressing that 6 of his guild members are unaccounted for, making it his duty to uncover the truth. Jinwoo, unbothered by the pressure, coolly reminds him that he was the one who rescued the 2 surviving members, meaning Beak should be expressing gratitude instead. Beak takes a breath to compose himself, recognizing that Jinwoo has a point, and offers an apology for his earlier attitude. With the situation settled, Jinwoo takes Sangyi home. After Jinwoo leaves, Beak turns to Park, inquiring about Jinwoo and why he seems so agitated. Park explains that Jinwoo's demeanor only shifted after he defeated the final boss. Sang suggests that exhaustion is likely the cause, pointing out that Jinwoo is normally a considerate individual. This piques Bak's curiosity, and he instructs Sang to do whatever it takes to recruit Jinwoo into their guild. Later, Jinwoo escorts Song home. She expresses her gratitude for everything and mentions that she is looking forward to meeting him again. As he walks away, Jinwoo reflects on the whole ordeal. Surprisingly, not even a full day has gone by since they were trapped in the gate, leaving him disappointed at having only received a single dagger as compensation for all his efforts. He determines that Baruka must have been too high in rank to provide better rewards. Looking back, Jinwoo recalls attempting to turn Baruka into an immortal soldier. Despite trying 3 times, he failed to raise him. Jinwoo finds some comfort in gaining iron from the experience, yet he cannot shake the thought that this marks the 3rd instance where he was forced to take human lives. The following morning, Jinwoo meets Leo, but is caught off guard by Leo's extravagant and flashy outfit. As they prepare for their task, Jinwoo informs Leo that they need to pick up another person first. That person turns out to be Sungyi, much to Leo's shock. Observing the relaxed way Jinwoo and Sona interact, Leo starts to grow doubtful. Then, when Jinwoo casually asks Sonya if she was able to get any rest, Leo completely misreads the exchange, concerned about Jinwoo's motives. Leo quickly reminds him that Songye is still a minor. Jinwoo waves it off, clearly oblivious to Leo's confusion, which only deepens Leo's unease. A little while later, Leo watches in amazement, as Jinwoo's warriors ruthlessly tear apart a group of fearsome monsters. Leo has no clue where these creatures even came from. Jinwoo recalls that Leo hasn't encountered them yet, so he explains that they are part of one of his incredible abilities. However, Leo remains clueless that such overwhelming strength is even possible. With the fight concluded, Jinwoo instructs his army to start excavating the area for energy crystals. Feeling useless due to his inability to keep up with them, Leo begs Jinwoo to at least allow him to collect the magic stones. Jinwoo isn't unreasonable, so one of his warriors agrees to split the work. Somewhere else, a man stands amidst the remains of a wrecked ship while a terrified soldier pleads for mercy. The man reassures him to stay calm, but the real issue is that they don't speak the same tongue. Switching to broken English, the man clarifies that he is human and only wants to return home. Meanwhile, Jinwoo and Leo celebrate after successfully completing the 19 raids that were part of their arrangement. Now that the missions are over, Leo's next objective is to pass the written test at the association to acquire his guildmaster's permit. Once he secures the license, he can finally negotiate with his father. As for Jinwoo, he states that he intends to go on a journey for a while. Leo instantly assumes that Jinwoo is trying to avoid him, but Jinwoo denies it, insisting he's just a little drunk. However, Leo is familiar with rejection, particularly from his elder sibling, who is a decade older and has always been distant. They never shared any brotherly experiences. On the other hand, Jinwoo has helped Leo so much that Leo wistfully confesses he wishes Jinwoo was his real brother instead. Moved by Leo's emotions, Jinwoo pours to drinks and tells him that from this moment onward, he will think of him as his younger brother. That heartfelt moment leaves Leo stunned but truly touched. At the same time, the unidentified man from the wrecked ship has been restrained, and officials discuss his background. He claims to be a foreign hunter who got trapped inside a portal a decade ago, and only just found an exit leading to a gate in America. The officials remain doubtful, fearing that he could be a humanoid magical beast. To confirm his identity, they summon an S-rank hunter for interrogation, and that specific hunter turns out to be Dong-soo. They await his arrival since the only detail they have is that the man's name is Il-Wan-sung. Later, Jinwoo informs his sister Jina that he will be away for a week. She knows how occupied he has been lately and playfully asks who he'll be going with. Annoyed by the question, Jinwoo responds that he'll be traveling with a companion and leaves it at that. Shortly after, he stands at the entrance of the demon castle, recalling how much he has progressed since he barely survived his encounter with Cerberus at level 20. But now, his level is 3 times greater. Jinwoo feels certain that this trial will turn out differently. He then takes the key, provided by his system, to unseal the entrance and steps into the fortress. As he examines the mission details, he realizes that his task involves gathering demon souls. However, Jinwoo is taken aback upon discovering that the system demands a total of 10,000 souls, a quantity so massive that he struggles to believe it could exist within this dungeon. But even with the daunting challenge ahead, Jinwoo keeps his eyes on the true goal: obtaining the necessary components for the elixir of life to heal his mother. Regardless of how many demons oppose him, Jinwoo is determined to finish this exhausting quest. Meanwhile, Leo has a discussion with his father, Myung-han, about assuming leadership of the guild. Leo knows that his older sibling is also aiming for control, but strongly disagrees with his brother's strategy. He argues that appointing an outsider to manage the guild presents a significant threat to the organization's stability. Han, however, shifts the conversation back to Myung-han, reproaching Leo for his involvement with Jinwoo. Myung-han brings up the fact that Jinwoo was present during 3 highly controversial events: the dual dungeon, the raid where Han's team was annihilated, and the surveillance team's hunter case involving slain criminals. Yet, despite the peril, Jinwoo astonishingly survived each event. Han also points out that Jinwoo played a crucial role in assisting Leo with clearing 19 raids to obtain his guildmaster certification, and was instrumental in the Red Gate incident, ensuring the safety of the remaining survivors. As a result, Han accuses Leo of using unfair means by depending on Jinwoo to gain leverage. While Leo admits that his approach wasn't flawless, he maintains that he has the guild's best interests at heart. However, to Leo's astonishment, Han suddenly grants him permission to chase his leadership ambitions, but under one stipulation. Han demands that Jinwoo must be recruited into their guild. Han discloses that the White Tiger Guild has been attempting to enlist Jinwoo since the Red Gate event due to recognizing his extraordinary strength. So, if Leo is genuinely serious about leading, Han dares him to secure Jinwoo's loyalty first. Leo accepts the challenge and vows to accomplish it. Inside the demon fortress, Jinwoo comes to the realization that even though he has vanquished a huge number of demons, he is unable to extract their shadows to add them to his army. He struggles to understand the reason behind this limitation. He has defeated a staggering number of them, yet it feels as though all his effort might be going to waste. Just then, he obtains an access pass for the subsequent floor, and a brilliant glow highlights the path ahead. Jinwoo gazes in awe at the dungeon's vast scale, as it is essentially an entire metropolis compressed within a single structure. However, the constant traveling is beginning to drain his energy. Thankfully, Jinwoo summons the bear leader to transport him. The creature dashes ahead without difficulty, tearing through hordes of demons standing in their way. Impressed by its incredible strength, Jinwoo decides to name the beast Tank. Elsewhere, a group of young women admire Chahae, marveling at her presence. Chahae, however, reflects on a previous discussion she had with Mr. Choi. He had chosen to keep details about the airborne ants hidden, but Chahae felt the information should be made public. Mr. Choi explained that revealing such details would only cause unnecessary fear and turmoil. Instead, he suggested that their guild should focus on on strengthening itself, as they were already the leading local guild, and increasing their power was the key to further expansion. Back inside the dungeon, Jinwoo continues, eliminating even more demons. When he initially obtained the key, he worried that this could be an S-rank dungeon, but so far, the enemies he has encountered are roughly high B rank. Their sheer numbers are overwhelming, and they grow stronger with every level. However, by slaying only the demons required to advance, Jinwoo has made consistent and steady progress based on his prior experience with other designs. Jinwoo assumes this fortress possibly has a total of 100 floors, similar to the Tower of Trials. He wonders how powerful he will become by the time he reaches the peak. When he gathers 4,000 souls, he reminds himself to keep track of his resources. He also remembers his promise to Gina, vowing to come back within 7 days, making this a race against time. Eventually, Jinwoo collects 10,000 souls, achieving the quest's primary goal. However, his adventure is far from over. As he continues forward, he comes across a group of mighty creatures, and the leader's name appears in bright red letters, signaling extreme danger. This creature is called Vulcan, the leader-class boss of the lower floors. Somewhere else, Song is looking for Jinwoo but is informed by Gina that her brother is away. However, Song is doubtful. There are no records of him participating in a raid or departing the country, and the last known trace the association has of him is right in the center of the city. With this, the association can only guess where he might have gone. Inside the dungeon, Jinwoo proclaims that he will face the enormous boss while commanding his troops to eliminate the remaining demons. His soldiers jump into action, swiftly bringing down the opposing horde. With additional points invested in his intelligence skill, Jinwoo can summon a larger army and sustain them with greater ease. Additionally, his increased magical strength has made fighting significantly smoother. Jinwoo then turns his focus toward the leader-class demon and wonders if the gigantic creature will ever rise. Assuming it will remain seated, he is caught off guard when it suddenly moves at lightning speed to attack him. Jinwoo reacts instantly, dodging the attack and countering with an extremely strong punch that sends the massive demon soaring. Even he is amazed by his own power, since all he did was land a single blow on the giant monster. He then questions whether he accidentally leveled up his strength. However, Vulcan is not defeated yet and lets out a deafening roar, indicating it is about to change form. This reminds Jinwoo of his previous fight against Cerberus. The beast then charges at him with incredible speed, prompting Jinwoo to call out to Iron, who swiftly throws him a shield. Jinwoo blocks the strike, but the colossal being follows up with an unrelenting series of punches. Jinwoo is taken aback by how something of this size can move with such speed. As the assault continues, he finds an opportunity and moves behind the beast, only to realize that it can anticipate his actions. Vulcan is an absolute terror, and the only seemingly weak spot Jinwoo can identify is its small head. He then starts running, forming a plan to restrict the beast's movement. Spotting the ideal structure nearby, he dashes toward it. Vulcan, fixated on chasing Jinwoo, crashes straight into the building. With the monster temporarily stuck, Jinwoo calls forth his weapon and, in one powerful motion, slices through Vulcan's throat. The ruler of the lower floors is now defeated, and Jinwoo receives an item known as the World Tree Fragment as a reward. Scene shift. Il-hwan is being questioned by Dong-soo, who has heard whispers that Il-hwan could be a talking magical beast. Il-hwan denies this claim, offering to undergo any examinations, including DNA testing, to confirm he is human. Despite this, Dong-soo plays the role of a strict officer and silences him, demanding that he only speak when asked a question. Dong-soo, annoyed that his amusement has been ruined, glances at Il-hwan's documents. Il-hwan then asks if he may say something, but Dong-soo immediately orders him to remain quiet. Disregarding the command, Il-hwan continues, questioning how much humans truly understand about gates and magical creatures. Dong-soo has no clue what Il-hwan is talking about. Il-hwan then explains further, stating that dungeons, gates, and monsters are only the surface of something much greater. He warns that a force capable of causing absolute disaster has already awakened. Il-hwan then states he cannot reveal anything more, but insists that his sole mission is to prevent this catastrophe. Dong-soo, having lost patience with what he believes is nonsense, reminds Il-hwan that there are millions of hunters worldwide. He argues that if enough of them work together, they can handle any threat. However, Il-hwan discloses that pure numbers will not be enough against what is coming. He cautions that those hunters will be consumed and transformed into tools against humanity itself. Dong-soo, growing more irritated, rejects Il-hwan's words and focuses on the ridiculous nature of his story, particularly the idea that a magical creature somehow had a wife and 2 children. With a mocking tone, Dong-soo asks Il-hwan what his son's name is. Il-hwan responds that his son's name is Jinwoo. Dong-soo's expression shifts into one of amusement as he grins. Telling Il-hwan that his son is no longer alive, he refuses to answer any of Il-hwan's inquiries, adding that Il-hwan can discuss it with his son when they reunite in the afterlife. Dong-soo displays his strength while delivering this threat, but Il-hwan's face darkens, his eyes filled with deadly intent. Inside the dungeon, Jinwoo's shadow army is tearing apart another group of demons. Jinwoo takes note of the group's leader and comments that the fight has become completely one-sided. He wonders if the demon leader is shocked by the terrifying power of his shadow warriors. But soon, Jinwoo realizes that even the undead can feel fear, as the demon visibly shakes. In the blink of an eye, Jinwoo slices off the leader's head. A notification appears, showing that Jinwoo has just defeated Metis, the Guider of Souls, and he has leveled up even higher. Outside, part of the city is in ruins following a great catastrophe. An investigator remarks that battles between S-rank hunters can completely change the landscape, destroying everything in their wake. However, he notes that they are fortunate this battle remained in one area, because it could have been much worse. The destruction was so quick and overpowering that it seemed to happen in mere moments. Observing the aftermath, he reflects on how Dongsu was taken down so fast that the damage had little time to spread. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo has run out of supplies, indicating that this is as far as he can push forward for now. He has reached level 475, and although only 25 floors remain, it is still a long path ahead. However, the rewards have made it worthwhile. From a skeleton he defeated, Jinwoo acquired a necklace, and from the beast on level 50, he obtained an earring. Both items are powerful alone, but together they grant a set bonus, increasing all stats by 5 points. Seeing an empty slot in the set, Jinwoo concludes that there must be one more high-level beast to conquer. He also gains an item called the Sphere of Avarice, which, while not useful to him directly, doubles the strength of his shadow warriors when they use it, making it a valuable addition. Finally, Jinwoo's newest reward is the opportunity to open the cursed random loot box. He had worried that he might not get another chance, so he is relieved to discover the second key inside. Unfortunately, the key has no instructions, leaving him uncertain about when or where to use it. For now, these treasures take a back seat to Jinwoo's primary goal, collecting the ingredients for the elixir of life. He already possesses the world fragment from Vulcan and the spring water from Echo Forest after defeating Menace. However, that is only 2 out of the 3 ingredients required to save his ailing mother. Jinwoo resolves that the next time he enters this dungeon, he will complete what he started and accomplish his mission. Afterward, Jinwoo leaves the instance dungeon and reflects on his journey so far. He realizes that the only thing left to acquire is the purified Demon King's blood. Knowing just how essential it is, he determines that he needs to be completely ready before trying to acquire it. Checking his stats, Jinwoo notices a major boost in his level from his latest journey. However, he remains categorized as an E-rank hunter. Even though he can keep gaining levels, his E-rank classification stops him from joining higher-tier raid missions. Deciding it's time to stop pretending, Jinwoo chooses to showcase his real power by getting his rank re-evaluated. The following day, Jinwoo arrives at the ranking center to undergo reassessment. Coincidentally, Sang's ever-loyal assistant is also present at the center, scouting for new recruits. Kitchell casually watches the hunters, estimating their ranks. The moment he spots Jinwoo among them, he instantly recognizes him. Kitchell swiftly dials Beak, informing him that Jinwoo has arrived for reassessment. Upon hearing this, Beak immediately abandons everything and hurries to the evaluation center. Meanwhile, Jinwoo patiently waits for his turn. He overhears a nearby discussion between 2 hunters. One of them, trying to reassure his friend, tells him that the test is quite simple. The nervous hunter shares his struggles, explaining that he must earn money as a hunter to support his wife and child, who have threatened to leave him. The first man attempts to comfort him, saying that as long as his rank turns out higher than E, he'll be fine. He even points toward recruiters waiting to make offers to those ranked above E rank. Hearing this, Jinwoo reflects on how cruel life has always been for E-rank hunters. Shortly after, Jinwoo's name is called for his assessment. Inside, the examiner acknowledges that Jinwoo has come for a reassessment and assumes he is already familiar with the procedure. She instructs him to place his hand on the black crystal and wait. Jinwoo follows the instructions, but the examiner instantly notices an issue. An error message appears on the device. She asks him to attempt it once more, but the same message appears again. The examiner resets the machine multiple times, yet the outcome remains unchanged. Her superior enters, observing her concern, and asks if there is a problem. She explains the situation, assuming the equipment is malfunctioning. The superior then decides to personally oversee the test, but when the same error persists, he understands that it is not a mechanical defect. He explains to the examiner that the issue isn't due to a broken device, but rather its incapability to measure Jinwoo's magic power. His energy has exceeded the machine's maximum limit, making it impossible to assess him. Shocked, the examiner quickly realizes what this means. Jinwoo has officially become the country's 10th S-rank hunter. Meanwhile, outside the ranking center, Mr. Choi approaches Jinchel, inquiring about updates regarding the wing dance investigation. Jinchel explains that the investigative team has conducted an autopsy and is comparing the new sample with older cases. However, they require additional time before drawing a conclusion. Mr. Choi acknowledges this and shifts the conversation, bringing up the recent Red Gate event. He mentions that the White Tiger Guild allowed an outsider to participate in the mission and even let him defeat the boss. Curious, he asks Jinchul if he knows who the individual was. Jinchul confesses that he is unaware, stating that although he was present during the raid, he left before it concluded. Mr. Choi appears visibly unsatisfied with this answer. Just then, he notices a disturbance inside the center and decides to check it out. The two step inside the building, immediately noticing the aftermath of Jinwoo's unsuccessful rank evaluation. The whole place is filled with whispers about the machine's failure to assess his strength. The examiner turns to Jinwoo and tells him he must return in 3 days for another test with advanced equipment, as the usual device isn't capable of measuring his abilities. Meanwhile, Kitchell observes from afar, realizing that Jinwoo is exactly what he had expected. Seeing a perfect chance, he gets ready to approach Jinwoo and start a conversation. Just then, Mr. Choi and Jinchul walk into the building. Jinwoo immediately recognizes Mr. Choi as the famous ultimate hunter and the country's strongest fire mage. Sensing Jinwoo's overwhelming presence, Mr. Choi quickly figures out that Jinwoo is the reason behind the excitement. Wanting to recruit him, Mr. Choi steps forward to introduce himself, but Jinwoo simply walks past him without saying a word. The entire room falls silent, stunned by the unexpected moment. Perplexed, Mr. Choi turns to Jinchul and asks if he forgot to properly introduce him, but Jinchul calmly assures him that he did. However, Jinwoo still ignored him completely and walked away without even glancing in his direction. Before anyone can react, they suddenly realize that Jinwoo has disappeared. This makes them suspect that he must have stealth abilities like an assassin. Moments later, Beak arrives at the center, out of breath from running there as fast as he could. Seeing him in such a rush, Mr. Choi quickly puts the pieces together. Jinwoo must be the hunter responsible for clearing the Red Gate. This realization only strengthens his belief that Jinwoo is truly special. Deciding to leave things as they are for now, Mr. Choi exits the building. Meanwhile, Beak stands there in shock, realizing that Mr. Choi has already figured out the truth. He sighs in frustration, knowing that Mr. Choi was the last person he wanted to learn about this situation. Later that night, Jinwoo quietly sits beside his mother, watching her peaceful face as she rests. Before leaving the room, he softly whispers for her to wait just a little longer. Outside, he comes across Jinchul, who greets him with an unexpected confession. Jinchul admits that Jinwoo has completely changed the way he sees things. He explains that, as part of the surveillance division, his job is to keep an eye on hunters and bring those who break the law to justice. In the past, he had always believed in his ability to judge people correctly, but Jinwoo has proven him wrong, making him doubt his own judgment. As Jinwoo heads toward the exit, he casually asks if he is also under watch. Jinchul reassures him, saying they aren't monitoring him as a criminal. However, he explains that the surveillance team is usually responsible for keeping hunters under control, but even they have no authority over S-rank hunters. Jinwoo nods and continues toward the exit, but Jinchul stops him, saying that someone wants to meet him. Moments later, Gunhee, the chairman of the Hunter Association, appears and introduces himself. Chairman Gunhee invites Jinwoo to have a calm and friendly discussion. First, he congratulates Jinwoo on officially becoming an S-rank hunter. Jinwoo looks puzzled, prompting Gunhee to explain further. He clarifies that the reassessment was only a formality once the machine failed to measure Jinwoo's strength. His rank as an S-rank hunter was already decided. Jinwoo curiously asks why the reassessment was required when his rank had already been settled. The chairman smiles and clarifies that it gave the association a chance to meet with Jinwoo before anyone else. He goes on to explain that although the association oversees many hunters, only a small group is truly outstanding. Most top hunters join guilds to seek fame or wealth. He highlights that even Jinchul, one of their top experts, is only an A rank, which leaves the association desperate for a stronger force. The chairman then offers Jinwoo a chance to join the association in its highest position. He mentions that the government no longer holds true authority in the country. It's the hunters who now control the balance of power. At the core of this influence are the 5 major guilds, massive organizations barely keeping a fragile peace. Jinchul warns that if Jinwoo becomes a part of any guild, it would upset this balance. Instead, he proposes that Jinwoo join the association and turn it into a sixth powerful faction that could oversee the guilds. Chairman Gunhee asks for Jinwoo's opinion on the matter, and Jinwoo, intrigued by the proposal, starts to seriously think about the offer. Jinwoo notes Gunhee's extraordinary presence as the first S-rank hunter in the nation. Gunhee exudes tremendous power and strength, with a body that defies his age, which is over 80 years. Jinwoo understands that even though the chairman has retired from active service, he still possesses strength comparable to his own. Jinwoo realizes that accepting the invitation could bring a positive change in his life, but he still declines. Gunhee believes, like many others, that Jinwoo is motivated by money, but Jinwoo surprises him by saying it's not the case. He shares that he yearns for combat, saying that the dungeon is where he truly belongs. Hearing this, Chairman feels a stir in his chest, a feeling he hasn't had in years. He thinks to himself that if he were a decade younger, he would have loved the chance to fight alongside someone like Jinwoo. Knowing he can't change Jinwoo's mind, Gunhee decides not to press the issue further. Jinwoo thanks him for the offer and leaves. As Jinwoo walks away, Gunhee reflects on how even S-rank healers cannot reverse aging, leaving him with a body that's past its prime. He then orders Jinchul to cancel all his appointments for the day, wanting time alone to think. Meanwhile, Jinwoo contemplates his next move. He knows he needs to become stronger as quickly as possible to save his mother. His sense of urgency pushes him onward, leaving no time for stagnation across the world. In America, Dong-soo wakes up in a hospital bed, his body still bruised from his recent battle. The deputy director comes to see him, emphasizing the need to clear up one important question. He asks Dong-soo if Ilwan is truly a magical beast. Without hesitation, Dong-soo confirms that the power Ilwan showed was definitely not human, concluding that he must be a magical beast. Satisfied with this answer, the deputy director prepares to leave, but Dong-soo stops him, asking what steps are being taken against Ilwan. The deputy director explains that while the authorities are tracking him, there's no certainty they will succeed. After all, Ilwan defeated Dong-soo, one of their strongest hunter. Left alone, Dong-soo reflects on the chilling moment after his defeat when Ilwan warned him to stay away from his family or face relentless revenge. Even in hell, he will not allow Dong-soo to be safe. Fueled by anger and shame, Dong-soo makes a vow to prepare himself for a rematch. He realizes he will need a strong artifact to have any chance. It is explained that artifacts in the world of hunters are powerful, man-made relics, regarded as high-level equipment. Even the most skilled craftsmen struggle to create such items. Meanwhile, Jinwoo scrolls through artifacts on an online auction site, but nothing stands out. All the interesting ones are far too expensive, and he knows he must be fully ready before confronting the demon castle. He examines his sphere of avarice, which can double magical damage, noting that although some items in the market can enhance magic by 20 to 30%, none can do what this sphere does. Jinwoo realizes that the sphere could be sold for a large sum, but its origin would raise too many questions, especially since he is only E-ranked. He thinks that if he had records showing he'd completed a rank raid, selling the sphere might be easier. But as an E-rank hunter, even taking part in those raids is beyond him. Just then, his search leads him to a job posting from the Hunter Guild. They are hiring miners for a large expedition, and surprisingly, there is no rank requirement. Meanwhile, Gunhee reviews Jinwoo's file, noticing how drastically different Jinwoo looks compared to 4 months ago. He starts to wonder if Jinwoo is pretending to be of a higher rank. However, Jinchul reassures him, revealing that Jinwoo sustained several injuries while clearing low-rank dungeons. He goes on to explain that Jinwoo became a hunter to support his sick mother and pay for his sister's education. Gunhee, impressed by Jinwoo's dedication to his family, learns that Jinwoo has recently joined the Hunter Guild raid mission. Gunhee assumes that Jinwoo couldn't resist the sign-up bonus, but Jinchul corrects him, explaining that Jinwoo joined as a miner, not as part of the assault team. Gunhee remains confused, unable to understand Jinwoo's true intentions. At the same time, we see Jinwoo arrive at the gate site. He is accepted as a miner because of his strength, which stands out even among combat-type hunters. Jinwoo then explains that large gates, like Rank A, need different teams. The assault team for fighting monsters, the mining team for gathering mana stones, and the recovery team for collecting monster bodies. With so many people involved, the rewards are considerable. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, the guildmaster, Mr. Choi, is seen fighting the monster alone. He burns them with his powerful fire magic, while the tanks protect the team from his flames. The monsters are quickly defeated, and Mr. Choi continues hunting the rest with ease. Shortly after, the assault team exits the dungeon, and Jinwoo observes them, assuming they've cleared every monster except for the boss, to keep the gate open. He realizes how strong Mr. Choi must be to lead the team through a Rank A gate without any problems. The miners begin talking about the Hunter Guild's second-in-command as she steps out of the gate, revealing herself to be Chugong. Jinwoo senses her strong aura, and for a brief moment, she picks up on his, though the feeling fades quickly. She wonders if it was just her imagination. Jinwoo, impressed by her perception, decides to focus on his task. The miners then enter the gate and start extracting mana stones, while the others focus on mining. Jinwoo is more interested in the rank of the boss. He wishes he could see it at least once. Hearing miners talk about his E-rank, he ignores their comments, thinking that this kind of talk is normal. As he works, his impressive strength draws attention, and the others start questioning if he's really an E-rank hunter. After some time, the leader calls for a lunch break, and everyone else leaves the dungeon, but Jinwoo stays behind, determined to finish his work before resting. The leader invites him to join them, but Jinwoo declines, staying focused on clearing his mining area. As the others leave, Jinwoo's expression hardens with determination, because he sees this as his chance to look at the boss. Sprinting towards the boss room, he wonders if it's stronger than anything he has ever faced. Though he knows fighting it would be a huge loss for the Hunter Guild, he can't hide his excitement. Summoning his dagger, he moves closer, ready to enter. But just before stepping in, he's stopped by Hey, Her sharp voice cuts through the quiet. As she asks what he's doing there, Jinwoo realizes this was a careless move on his part and, with a deep sigh, tells Cha-hae that he simply got lost and ended up here. She asks if he's from the mining team and bluntly tells him this is the boss room, ordering him to step back. Jinwoo silently acknowledges that Cha-hae truly lives up to her reputation, since he hadn't even heard her approach until she spoke. Cha-hae then notices that the dagger she had seen in Jinwoo's hand earlier has disappeared. She wonders if her eyes were playing tricks on her. Jinwoo apologizes for wandering off, regret in his tone. She snaps at him to leave immediately, warning him not to anger the boss. Jinwoo tries to leave, but as he walks past Cha-hae, she notices something strange and tells him to stop. When he halts, she takes a sniff of him, surprised that he doesn't smell like the others. She asks him if he's really a hunter. And after confirming that he is, and that he's ranked E, she wonders if something is wrong. She brushes it off, cautioning him to be careful as he leaves. As he starts to leave, she wonders if his lack of smell is due to his low rank, and in a quiet moment, she admits that he actually smells quite nice. Later, we see Jinwoo heading back into the dungeon after his break, while his fellow miners quietly feel a little jealous that he got to meet Cha-hae when he got lost. They mention that they can only admire her from afar and explain that she works hard to protect them from the boss, even giving up her own rest time. Jinwoo, with a hint of admiration mixed with longing, realizes this is why she was near the boss room. The mining boss tells him that Cha-hae feels uncomfortable with the scent of other hunters. The miners add that it's because of her special nature, which is why she always covers her nose with a handkerchief. Jinwoo reflects on how her reaction to him was different from others, and he wonders if that means he doesn't carry the usual hunter scent. He remembers that the boss of the Red Gate said something similar, and he thinks it must be because he's just a player. With a mix of curiosity and uncertainty, he wonders what being a player really means, though he's not sure. Later, we see him receiving his pay after the mining is finished. The mining boss thanks him, saying they finished ahead of schedule because of him. The miners comment that Jinwoo has a natural talent for this work, and the boss admits that in all his years, he's never met anyone quite like him. He asks if Jinwoo would consider working with him long-term, offering fair pay. However, Jinwoo replies that this is just a one-time deal for him. The boss looks disappointed but still requests Jinwoo's help for one more day, explaining that tomorrow they have back-to-back A and C rank missions. Jinwoo reflects that his re-evaluation test is the day after tomorrow, and feels a boost of confidence after finally understanding the raid process. However, he's surprised to learn that the Hunter Guild has scheduled raids one after another, with 2 missions set for the next day. The boss tells him that the second assault team will be handling these missions, leaving Jinwoo stunned. The boss proudly states that the true strength of the Hunters Guild comes from having 2 assault teams, capable of raiding rank A gates, something no other guild in the country can manage. Motivated by this revelation, Jinwoo agrees to return the next day, and the boss, clearly pleased, promises to speak to his superior about doubling his salary. Jinwoo assures him not to worry, but the boss remains determined. That night, we see Cha-hae with a hint of concern, instructing someone to look into Jinwoo from the mining team. She finds out that the person already knows him. He explains that Mr. Choi had asked him to do the same thing the other day, but he can't provide any details, as all information about Jinwoo has been sealed by the Hunter Association. He finds it strange, as he's never seen the association lock away data on someone who isn't a top-tier hunter. Before he can say more, Cha-hae abruptly ends the call. Later, lying in her bed, she thinks about what this could mean, reflecting that although she's met many hunters, Jinwoo is the first one who actually smells nice. The next day, we see Jinwoo arriving at the gate site and everyone greets him warmly, evoking memories of his early hunting days and bringing a soft smile to his face. They decide to start with the Surang gate for the day, and we see Jinwoo working on the mana stones like a human digging machine. After finishing the work, he joins the others for a meal. The boss praises him, saying they were able to finish early and enjoy their lunch break, thanks to his hard work. The boss even wonders if Jinwoo really doesn't want to stay with them, offering to pay him 5 times the usual rate. However, Jinwoo firmly turns down the offer. Not long after, Sun-kyun, the leader of the second assault team, arrives, asking if someone from the mining group can help since their porter is absent today. The boss suggests that the recovery team would be better for carrying things, but Sun-kyun replies that they've already said they are short-staffed. Clearly frustrated, the boss doesn't like the idea, and Sun-kyun ups the offer by saying he will provide a risk allowance if they join his team in the dungeon. However, the boss refuses, insisting that lower-rank hunters like them are not fit to work as porters in rank A dungeons, no matter how much money is offered. Ki-hoon makes one last attempt to see if anyone is interested, and Jinwoo boldly raises his hand. The boss tries to talk him out of it, but Jinwoo assures him not to worry, feeling confident in himself. Despite warnings from the others that Jinwoo is new and unaware of what he's getting into, Ki-hoon simply asks for his rank. When he learns Jinwoo is only rank E, He figures there's no harm in taking him along. They head towards the gate, and Jinwoo can't help but notice that this gate is larger than the one from yesterday. Ki-hoon comments that while it might be bigger, its magical energy is weaker than the previous gate, assuring Jinwoo that it's not dangerous since the second team wouldn't be there if it was. Jinwoo sees that the team is made up of 6 rank D hunters and 3 rank B hunters. It's a lineup that still qualifies as an assault team, even without an S-rank member. As they step into the gate, Jinwoo feels that the magic here is likely weaker than before, but he can't shake the ominous feeling, reminding him of the red gate. The team's healer tells him not to worry, assuring him that all the hunters are very skilled and nothing will go wrong as long as he sticks with them. Meanwhile, Ki-hoon is confident that once this raid is finished, he will officially be promoted to captain of the team. He believes he can handle it, even though he's not as powerful as their current captain or vice-captain. Just then, they sense monsters ahead and immediately prepare for battle without waiting for orders. They are soon attacked by some dungeon jackals, but these creatures are too weak, and the team wipes them out in a matter of seconds. Surprised to see dungeon jackals here, Jinwoo wonders if they are rare. The healer explains that they are just C-rank monsters, and it's unusual to see them in a rank A dungeon, since weaker monsters like these are often eaten by stronger ones. Jinwoo then notices collars around the necks of the jackals, realizing that these creatures are being raised as hunting dogs by someone. Just then, more monsters appear, and they realize it's an army of high orcs. One of them attacks by throwing a spear, and the tank barely manages to block the strike. The orcs charge at him, and the tank uses his taunt skill, but it has no effect, as the monsters target those in the back. Although one of the hunters manages to push them back, the orcs take no damage due to their high magic resistance. The team's mage then binds one of the orcs, but she can't hold it because it's too strong. The fire mage summons 2 fire soldiers to assist, while the fire soldiers engage the orcs. The rest of the team fights fiercely. The orcs injure the team's martial artist, and they ask the healer for help, but she is already busy healing the tank. Ki-hoon thinks they're seriously outnumbered and fears this could be the end when the orcs cut off one of the hunter's arms. Ki-hoon silently hopes that no one dies here. The healer steps in to regenerate the lost arm completely, while the mage continues to hold off the orcs. Suddenly, an orc appears behind the healer, and she seems to accept her fate. But Jinwoo intervenes, using his ruler's hand to kill the orc by ripping out its spine. The healer is left shocked and confused about what just happened. Jinwoo then uses his stealth skill to help the other hunters, attacking the orcs to weaken them without being noticed. The hunters are surprised when the orcs start to falter all of a sudden, but they quickly seize the opportunity, launching a full attack and defeating the orcs. One by one, Jinwoo thinks that he doesn't really want to stand out as an outsider here, and he refuses to let anyone perish under his watch. Quietly, he continues to weaken the monsters from the shadows, while the other hunters manage to handle the rest, eventually eliminating all of the orcs. Ki-hoon then checks in with everyone, relieved to hear that they're all okay. The healer mentions that something strange happened during the fight, and Ki-hoon adds that he also noticed the monsters suddenly weaken. He asks the mages if they were responsible, but they respond that they weren't, and such a thing shouldn't be possible without an assassin-type hunter. They decide not to dwell on it, reasoning that luck was on their side since they won in the end. Meanwhile, the mage with glasses thinks that their porter seriously underestimated the team. He should have known that his stealth skill would be noticed with a magic caster present. Choosing to stay silent about it, she figures he must have his reasons and believes he deserves at least that much for helping them survive. The hunters then turn to their captain, asking whether they should keep going or retreat. They point out that to tackle a dungeon like this, they would need at least 2 more healers and 3 additional mages, strongly suggesting a retreat. The leader takes a moment to think it over. Jinwoo, understanding their hesitation to charge ahead in such a dangerous dungeon, silently hopes that the captain will make the right decision. In the end, the leader chooses to pull back, much to everyone's relief. When they reach the gate leading outside, they notice that it's sealed with a barrier, something that wasn't there when they first entered. The mages step forward to remove the barrier, glad to be retreating, as this dungeon clearly houses a creature capable of such advanced magic. Almost immediately, everyone feels a surge of powerful magic, sparking the question of whether this could be the boss. As the mages hurry to dismantle the barrier, Jinwoo wonders aloud why such a massive magical fluctuation wasn't detected when they were outside. After all, even a B-rank hunter should have noticed it. Just then, the mages suddenly start bleeding heavily, and everyone realizes that someone had cursed the barrier as a trap. The captain urgently orders one of the hunters to cast divine magic, but when no one responds, he turns to see what's happening, only to find an entire army of orcs standing behind them. They count roughly 50 orcs, and the leaders from both sides step forward. Halfway, the orc leader tries to communicate, but his words are unintelligible until the orc shaman takes over his body and speaks in clear human language. The shaman introduces himself as Kargagan and tells Ki-hoon that he has been eagerly awaiting the humans. Ki-hoon then asks if Kargagan was the one who sealed the entrance, and the shaman confirms it. Curious, Ki-hoon asks if there is anyone stronger than him in this dungeon. But Kargagan replies that there isn't, and he challenges them to either face him or perish at the hands of his soldiers. Without a second thought, Ki-hoon decides to confront the shaman head-on, and the orcs immediately begin to lead the way. Before they move forward, Ki-hoon confides in Jinwoo that their plan is to attack the boss as soon as they reach his chamber. This distraction should briefly disable the barrier. He instructs Jinwoo to use that opening to escape and warn the other assault team. Jinwoo can't help but wonder if they're all just walking into a death trap, but Ki-hoon bluntly reminds him that their mission is to close the gate, not necessarily to survive. The healer hands Jinwoo a short letter, asking him to deliver it to her family if things go wrong. Jinwoo accepts it with a heavy heart, hoping it won't come to that. She urges him to ensure his own escape while they finish the mission. Jinwoo reflects that this dangerous situation feels similar to the double dungeon, but these people are completely different from what he's faced before. At the same time, outside the gate, Chahae is frantically searching for Ginwoo, wondering if he may have abandoned the team. When the mining boss notices her distress, he asks about Jinwoo and learns that he entered the gate as a porter. Back inside, Jinwoo and the rest of the group finally arrive at a throne room, where they are met by Kargagan and a huge, terrifying horde of orcs. Outside, Chahae is puzzled about why Jinwoo entered as a porter. Back inside, Jinwoo and the rest of the group finally arrive at a throne room where they are met by Kargagan and a huge, terrifying horde of orcs. Outside, Chahae is puzzled about why Jinwoo entered as a porter, especially since he only has one life to live. She recalls seeing him yesterday standing in front of a boss room with a weapon in hand, which now makes him seem suspicious. She then tells the mining leader that she go inside to investigate, asking if they have any good weapons available. The leader hands her a pickaxe and admits he has nothing else resembling a weapon. Just some additional mining tools. Chahae decides to go in without any proper weapon, but he questions if she can manage with just the pickaxe. Reluctantly, she takes the pickaxe along. Meanwhile, inside the gate, the hunters are stunned by the sheer number of high-level orcs. They're convinced that if so many of them appear, they could easily take down entire cities. They notice that the 4 generals of the orc army are even stronger than the rest of the horde. The boss orders the orcs to be silent, and they immediately stop their noises. The boss deduces that their mission must be to shut the gate, meaning they have to defeat the dungeon boss. In a dramatic turn, the boss removes his mask, and they are all taken aback by his overwhelming magical aura. They feel utterly insignificant in comparison to him, and he boldly asks why he has gathered them here. The boss coldly tells them that they are just entertainment for him and promises to kill them one by one as the perfect spectacle. Ki-hoon and his comrades are filled with despair upon hearing this. Unable to believe that their efforts are treated as mere amusement, the boss calls them disposable toys to be discarded at his whim. Meanwhile, noticing Jinwoo among them, the boss realizes that something strange has snuck in with the humans. Unbothered, Ki-hoon charges at the boss to attack and orders the others to join in. However, he finds that everyone else is frozen with fear. Undeterred, he assaults the boss alone, but the boss counters with a magical shield. The boss then uses his gravitational magic, slamming Ki-hoon onto the floor and even tossing him forcefully against the ceiling like a ragdoll. Repeating the vicious maneuver several times, his teammates watch in horror as Ki-hoon is beaten. But before it's too late, Jinwoo intervenes to save him and gently lays him on the ground. Although Jinwoo thinks he should stay out of it, because this is a mission for the Hunters Guild. He cannot sit back while the entire assault team is in danger. One of the orcs then charges at him, but he quickly stops its attack and destroys it with his signature ruler's hand. He then turns to Kion and calmly asks if he could handle all the magical beasts in the area. Ki-hoon, with no other choice, agrees eagerly. The boss, observing this, thinks that the enemy's display is nothing more than arrogant bursts of raw magic. Jinwoo admits that it is the first time he has faced such overwhelming power, but even though their roles naturally pit them against each other, he summons his shadow army with a determined resolve, vowing to end the boss's reign once and for all. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Jinchul and the surveillance team have gathered at the gate. The miners murmur in confusion about their presence, and Jinchul himself wonders why Jinwoo has been working as a miner here for the past 2 days. When the miner leader questions the situation, Jinchul asks about Jinwoo's whereabouts. Just then, a disgruntled miner who had complained about Jinwoo's odd behavior steps forward and declares that he had sensed something off about him from the beginning. Ignoring the miner's complaints, Jinchul asks the leader to locate Jinwoo and soon learns that he had slipped into the gate disguised as a porter. Puzzled, Jinchul reflects on how Jinwoo first appeared as a miner and then changed roles, remarking that now that Jinwoo has achieved an S-rank status, every move he makes is under close watch. Jinchul wishes Jinwoo would be more aware of his actions. The miner leader, still confused, asks what is really going on, and Jinchul tells him to wait for tomorrow's news to get more clarity. As he moves closer to the gate, the miner leader reveals that Chahae asked a similar question and went inside not long ago. Before Jinshul can probe further, he senses an unusual aura coming from the dungeon gate and immediately orders his team to conduct another magical power test on the dungeon. Inside the gate, Shahe is astonished by the number of high-ranking orcs that have been killed. Unable to understand how Kion's group managed to take down so many foes, she decides to rush toward the boss room, especially after sensing that terrifying surge of magical energy. The scene then shifts to the boss, who mocks Jinwoo for confronting his forces with such a small number. In response, Jinwoo amplifies the power of his shadow army using his newly acquired skill, Monarch's Domain. He explains that this ability, which he gained after the battle at the Demon's Castle, makes his shadow soldiers significantly stronger. Meanwhile, the other hunters are completely confused by what is happening as the High Orcs attack Jinwoo's troops. However, his generals prove so strong that they cut through the orcs like they're nothing more than pests. Jinwoo is busy helping to reduce the enemy forces, and the hunters note that his movements are similar to Chahe's. They remain baffled as to why someone with his power would have initially entered as just a porter. As the battle rages on, Jinwoo realizes that the strength of his soldiers is only equivalent to that of a Beering hunter. His troops are falling at a rapid rate, with 4 to 5 casualties for every orc killed. He understands that unless he takes out the orcs quickly, his mana reserves will be drained. Jinwoo braces himself for more, but at that moment, the boss launches a powerful fire spell aimed directly at his shadow soldiers, warning Jinwoo not to get too confident. Undeterred, Jinwoo replies that his soldiers have the strange ability to resurrect endlessly. Not satisfied, the boss escalates his attack by using his gravitational magic on Jinwoo and his soldiers, boasting that he will continue destroying them until his magical energy runs out. But despite repeatedly wiping out Jinwoo's army, Jinwoo continuously resummons his troops without pause. In the midst of this relentless cycle, Jinwoo wonders if the boss is deliberately staying out of reach, using long-range magic while the boss wonders how long Jinwoo can possibly continue resisting. Outside the gate, the results from the magical power test come in, revealing that the dungeon is dangerously close to an S-rank gate. Jinshul immediately orders the miners to contact the leader of the Hunters Guild without delay, and the surveillance department is mobilized to assist the assault team inside the dungeon. Kargajin laughs at Jinwoo, claiming that both the strength and numbers of his army far surpass those of Jinwoo's. As Jinwoo watches in disbelief, he realizes that his magical energy is draining quickly. With a quick motion, he drinks a mana potion to restore his strength and announces that he's about to show his true power as a necromancer. With a determined motion, he raises all the fallen High Orcs from the dead, turning them into his undead followers. He boldly tells the Kargagoon that he plans to add both him and his generals to his growing army. Taken aback, the boss wonders if Jinwoo might be some kind of lord, confused about why such a being would be in this place. He reflects that ever since he first opened his eyes here, the only command that has echoed in his mind is to kill any humans. Dismissing any deeper thoughts, he decides to follow that order without hesitation. He then sends his generals into battle. His scene shifts to the Hunters Guild, where Mr. Choi is shocked to find that the gate's power is almost at an S-rank level. He concludes that the evaluation must be correct, or Kian and his team would have already exited the dungeon. Realizing that a dungeon break at this level could result in an incident similar to the Jeju Island disaster, he feels relief that there is still time to prevent the catastrophe. Mr. Choi then directs his assistant to mobilize every hunter in the guild, and sends a message to all A-rank and higher hunters. He even mentions that they might need to call on the White Tiger Guild and the F-Field for extra support. Though the assistant is surprised by this suggestion, Mr. Choi insists that for now, their priority is to keep the situation from spiraling further out of control. Back in the boss room, the battle intensifies as Jinwoo's generals face off with the orc commander, while his forces continue to overwhelm the enemy. However, to his dismay, the boss watches as his own generals struggle and fall, prompting more hunters to rush to Jinwoo's aid. The boss refuses to let them interfere and quickly injures several of them with his curse magic. Standing tall and proud, the boss sneers, promising to make Jinwoo regret challenging him. He casts a series of curses designed to cause blindness, fatigue, and sleepiness, but thanks to his exceptional health and longevity, the curses have no effect. Jinwoo then coolly explains that he is immune to such toxins and immediately summons his mages. In response, the boss creates a powerful magical shield to block the attack, but the mage counters by launching a fireball, boosted by the Sphere of Avaricious. The blazing orb cuts through the boss's barrier, striking him hard and filling him with fury. Just then, Chahe rushes onto the scene, her eyes wide with shock as she takes in the chaotic battle. She notices that several hunters are down, and Ki-hoon, for example, is injured but is being quickly healed by the medic. When she asks what's going on, the fighters can only offer confused glances. The boss then intensifies his assault, channeling strengthening magic and other spells to transform himself into a giant, determined to crush Jinwoo underfoot. Jinwoo, however, swiftly dodges the enormous attacks, saying with disdain that he's never liked giants, probably due to a past incident in the double dungeon. In retaliation, the boss releases a barrage of fire spells around him, recklessly eliminating both allies and enemies alike. In his anger, the boss mocks Jinwoo, asking if he still thinks he can stand against such power. In a bold move, Jinwoo charges forward and stabs the boss in the eye, stating that by becoming a giant, the boss has only made himself a bigger, more vulnerable target. He then coolly adds that a lone mage with no guards stands no chance against an assassin-type hunter. Kargagoon responds with more intense fire spells, but Jinwoo expertly avoids each one and counters with his dagger, only to find that his blade barely leaves a mark. Realizing that brute force won't be enough, Jinwoo summons his ruler's hand, using it to grab a set of chains. With a quick, decisive motion, he binds the boss and hurls him across the room, leaving the mighty enemy staggering on the ground. Just then, Jinchul arrives and, taking in the incredible display, tells Chahae that he came to offer support after sensing a surge of powerful magic from outside. However, now he feels his help may no longer be needed. Seeing even the head of surveillance acknowledge Jinwoo's strength, Chahae wonders just how powerful he must be. She asks Jinchul what he thinks of Jinwoo, to which he simply shrugs, admitting that he doesn't know him well. Meanwhile, Jinwoo tells the injured boss that his fate was sealed the moment his guards fell in battle. Refusing to accept defeat, the boss snarls, but Jinwoo isn't done yet. He summons the spirits of his fallen guards to finish the job. After exchanging some decisive blows, the boss finally falls, his eyes filled with terror as he looks up to see his former generals ending his life. After emerging victorious, Jinwoo feels a surge of power and levels up, then proceeds to extract the boss's soul, a move that shocks everyone. After rising, Jinwoo jokingly remarks that he's much calmer now that the boss has turned into a shadow. While performing the extraction, he realizes he can name the soul, since the boss's true name has slipped from his memory. He decides to name him Fang. Upon inspecting Fang's essence, Jinwoo discovers that the fallen enemy held the elite knight rank, something he had never encountered before, though he recognizes it as truly remarkable. He also notes that the high orcs have proven to be a significant gain. Just then, Jinchul steps forward. Until now, Jinwoo had been so focused on the soul extraction that he hadn't noticed Jinchul's arrival. As other hunters begin demanding an explanation of what just happened, Jinchul's team steps in on Jinwoo's behalf, declaring that Jinwoo is currently the association's top secret. They instruct everyone to keep the day's events confidential, explaining that Jinwoo unleashed the power of an S-rank hunter solely to protect them. Just then, Jinchul steps forward. Until now, Jinwoo had been so focused on the soul extraction that he hadn't noticed Jinchul's arrival. As other hunters begin demanding an explanation of what just happened, Jinchul's team steps in on Jinwoo's behalf, declaring that Jinwoo is currently the association's top secret. They instruct everyone to keep the day's events confidential, explaining that Jinwoo unleashed the power of an S-rank hunter solely to protect them. Later, Mr. Choi receives a report about the incident and is completely amazed by the range of abilities Jinwoo has displayed. He asks Kun to compare Jinwoo's strength with his own, noting that while typical raids rely on the coordinated efforts of many hunters, Jinwoo defies that norm by working alone. Kion then challenges Mr. Choi, asking if he truly believes that Jinwoo can conquer the most difficult dungeon on his own. Mr. Choi, with a slight smile, says that he doubts it and adds that his title as the ultimate hunter may now be nothing more than a joke. As Mr. Choi leaves, Kion tells him that he must recruit Jinwoo at all costs, and Mr. Choi agrees, saying he will do his best. Meanwhile, Jinwoo meets with Leo, asking how matters with the guildmaster have unfolded. Leo fills him in on the details, and the scene shifts to the Hunter Association, where a famous actor named Lee Min-sung has just awakened as a hunter, causing the media to flock to the area to cover the breaking news. Min-sung, relishing the attention, believes himself to be the star of the day, enjoying his newfound fame. Did you enjoy that? Hit subscribe for more recaps.